Great seeing so many of you here today to join us for the Papaya webinar. I'm Shahar, I'm part of the Papaya marketing team, and I have with me here today, Jeremy, our VP Sales, and he'll walk us through the rest of the webinar. Just an FYI, feel free to drop any questions you might have into the live Q&A, and we'll do our best to answer them at the end of the session. Jeremy, over to you.
Thank you, Shahar. Firstly, thank you everyone for making the time to be here today. I'm the VP of Sales at Papayaglobal, Jeremy Wastel. I am based in London. I've been at Papaya for coming up to 3 years, so have seen a lot of the quite exceptional growth that we've experienced as a company over that period of time. And hopefully today you'll get a bit of an idea as to why we have seen that growth. So without further ado, I'm going to start sharing my screen. Firstly, we're going to go through a few slides. After the slides, we'll take you through a brief demo of the platform. Of course, you can get in touch with us afterwards if you want something more in-depth or want to learn more about Papaya in any of the areas that we talk about today. So hopefully you're all seeing my screen now, and we'll begin with the first part of the presentation. So what we're going to talk about today is introducing payroll as a strategic competency within the modern enterprise organization. And the reason for that is what we've experienced through our own growth and through seeing lots of our customers' growth is that there is a disconnect between HR, payroll, and finance. And it tends to cause a lot of issues within the organization, even as a small organization, but even more so as a larger or growing organization. So before we go into how payroll is a strategic competency within the organization, firstly, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Papaya itself. So we're currently servicing over 1,000 clients across the world, 30% of which are within the Fortune 5,000 companies. You can see a number of the logos at the bottom left there. Typically, what Papaya is doing is servicing the global payroll and payments, alongside some of our other solutions that we also offer. I'll touch on some of those today as well. What we provide is a total workforce solution operating across 160 countries with 750 internal employees ourselves. So obviously we are actually selling something that we use as an organization. Those employees are based across our main offices in the US, Israel, UK, China, Hong Kong, Singapore, and of course, Australia, covering each time zone for our customers. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see some of the latest accolades that Papaya has been receiving from some very well-known organizations such as CNBC or Forbes. And hopefully by the end of the webinar today, you'll see exactly why we've been rewarded with those awards. So in 2023, payroll is still very much a manual and inefficient process. And I think because it's not necessarily been a focus of many organizations until they've realized that spending considerable budgets in the realms of HR and finance hasn't actually solved some of the problems that they intended to do so at the beginning. And the reason for that is payroll is a significant part of the organization, connecting HR to payroll and payroll to finance. And that's really what Papaya is aiming to do. The problems that companies typically have at the moment are around siloed data streams. So you'll see a lot of the stuff here is about data, siloed data streams, no integration, there's inconsistent data. And those three, there are primarily because companies tend to use different providers in every location, and they don't have a joined up strategy. So it ends up resulting in lots of different data formats in different places. And without that joined up approach, you end up with a lot of additional problems, such as manual payments, no global reporting. Obviously, without that joined up data, there's no real reporting. Compliance issues, because again, if you don't have a good data strategy, the data's all over the place, it's difficult to actually manage the very thing that you're trying to do, which is a global scalable payroll system. The end-to-end process that Papaya puts in place with our customers is outlined here. So we have an end-to-end embedded technology system, which, as I mentioned before, connects HR to payroll and in turn connects payroll to finance. And that's one end-to-end system, which is what we're going to have a look at today. Now, payroll without payments I've been told is like driving a car or having a car without wheels. It's really one thing. And so Papaya's payments is very much a payroll payment solution. It's the only payroll payment solution out there in the market purposefully built for this exact purpose. A lot of other providers tend to use third-party payment service providers. And again, that causes a lot of issues with the movement of data to third-party organizations. And then we also have the Papaya BI. So with the joined up data and with the connection of HR into payroll, we're actually able to standardize all of your data into one data set and provide real insights around business intelligence, and obviously in the future related to artificial intelligence, as I'm sure everyone's seen some of the amazing things happening within ChatGPT. And on the right-hand side is the Papaya governance and implementation. So it's great to have a nice system that can do all your payments, that can provide you with the BI, but if you don't have a knowledgeable team that can actually implement this and guide you as a customer through it end to end, you won't actually get the results that you intended to when venturing into this. This is what we aim to build with our customers. So on the left-hand side, you'll see starting from the company's HR system, expense management system, time and attendance, all of the what we call pre-payroll data that needs to come into payroll in order to properly calculate someone's net pay the tax authorities correctly, and of course, any third-party providers. So you'll see that HR data and pre-payroll data coming into the Papaya platform. At the bottom, you'll see the in-country payroll systems, which is actually where we do the gross to net calculations on a local compliant payroll system. Once that has been done, it comes back into the Papaya system after a number of audits and validations have taken place, which is where our customers then are able to review and approve that payroll data. And at the top, you'll see payroll payments, which goes out to the employees, so paid out across the 160 countries that Papaya operates in, as well as tax authorities and third-party providers. And then finally, on the right-hand side, you'll see all of these different interactions related to payments going out and certain calculations being done and taxes paid. It needs to be packaged up into what we call post-payroll data. And this then typically goes into the company's ERP system or accounting system in the form of journal entries. So Papaya literally does every single step of that process and provides all the data back into your tech stack at the end so that you have that holistic view of everything that's happened since all of the various pre-payroll steps. The problem, however, is that 55% of CFOs report challenges with the integrations. And obviously, if you don't have the integration sorted, you can't get the data in to the systems in a structured way and back out in a structured way. So the whole purpose of this endeavor fails if you don't have that data structure properly implemented from the very beginning, which is why at Papaya, our vision is to create the most connected payroll ecosystem in the world. And we're calling that the Papaya OS. So integrations and as a result, automation are core to every single payroll step that we have within our system and generally in the market to every single payroll evolution that has taken place. And we're very much excited about being at the forefront of that evolution taking place right now. So how do we actually get your data in and back out? We have three different ways. The first one is the out-of-the-box API integration, which we have with a lot of the very well-known and popular HR systems, time and attendance, expense management systems to pull the data in. The one thing that you have to note with payroll is typically out-of-the-box API integrations don't actually cover all of the data required for payroll. So it means that you might take 50% or 70% of the data, but you still have quite a large portion of data left in the source system that still needs to come to Papaya or to your payroll vendors that you use. So the other option there is to use a custom API integration, which of course Papaya has the capabilities to do internally with you and with our product team. The issue with a custom API is that it takes a long time and it can be quite costly. And we can, of course, take that additional missing data that's not captured in the out-of-the-box API. But what we've done is actually develop something called the HCM Cloud Connector. This is a completely bespoke integration that Papaya has built and it can actually integrate with any system. It's not through an API, but it is through a specific integration that still captures all of the required fields for payroll, not just what's captured within the out of the box, but it's almost like a bespoke custom API integration for every single data point from all of your different source systems into Papaya. And what that allows us to do is actually unlock data and analytics and insights into that data. So just referring back to the ChatGPT comment that I made earlier, obviously pre-ChatGPT, there's lots of different dashboards and reports that you as a user can look into and understand the trends and different insights within that data. But what we want to do is take that a step forward and really start to use different technologies to bring insights to you without you having to do that work. So you'll see a lot of developments in this area within the general industry, but especially at Papaya. And of course, not forgetting the employees themselves, we also have Papaya Personal. And Papaya Personal is the area where all of your workers would be able to receive their payslips, any tax documents. If needed, they can also do time and attendance submissions, as well as absence management submissions, all through the mobile app or on the web browser. And if you do have a system that actually covers those different things, we can, of course, close off Papaya Personal so as not to confuse your workers about using two different systems. Lastly, because we're touching all of this very sensitive data and personal information, data security is probably one of the, if not the most important areas of the platform. And so we're very proud to have the SOC 1 and SOC 2 certifications, a number of different ISO certifications, and as well as things like single sign-on, two-factor authentication. We're going to move over to the platform at this point in time and start taking you through a couple of the different areas that I've just gone through.
Sorry, Jeremy, I'm just going to take
Yeah.
a quick second to remind our audience that this is a great time to pop into the Q&A and add any questions you might have, and we'll do our best to answer them all at the end.
Thanks, Shahar. Great. So what you should be seeing now is the platform. This is the dashboard that our customers see when they log into the platform. So here you will see all of your different projects, and you can see that these ones are active. So this particular customer, which is just a demo account, has 33 different projects. Now, a project in the Papaya terminology basically means a country and a service type. And what I mean by service type is it could be payroll, it could be employer of record, it could be contractor management, and a few other different solutions that Papaya also offer. And the reason for that is we are a total workforce management provider. We're not just a payroll provider. For those that don't know, employer of record allows you to engage workers in countries where you don't have your own legal entity, where we would take on the employment. And contractor management would be for what we call freelancers who are not employed by any party. They're typically self-employed or through their own company, and we will be able to manage the invoice and payment process there. Now, what I'm going to do is just walk you through a couple of little bits on this main page here, just so you're familiarized with the platform. And then we're going to walk through some specific pieces that I've picked out. As I mentioned before, if you want to do a deep dive demo, we can definitely coordinate that with one of the team here at Papaya. So at the top, you'll see you can go to your project. We can go to payroll, which is where we would actually be performing the different payroll steps for the different countries. Files, which is where it's essentially like a Dropbox or something where you have all of your cloud storage for the different files that are transmitted through payroll. Expenses, which is where we can track all of the expense management that needs to be done. Of course, if that's not already integrated with your own existing expense management system. And lastly, the Papaya BI section, which is where we can look at all of the reporting and analytics. The knowledge base, which is actually what we're going to have a look at next, is a place where you as our customers can go to and understand all of the different rules and regulations around specific countries, whether you're in those countries or you plan to be in the future. If we click here, as a user, this is where you'd go to update your settings, look at your billing and invoices, look at the Papayaglobal information, or just your specific user information, and of course, to sign out. Now, what we're going to do is have a look at the knowledge base first, which I've already opened. Here you can see a library of information about all of the different countries Papaya operates in, as well as specific information about each of the different service types, whether that's employer of record, payroll, contractors, or just general information. You can save countries, so you can have your kind of top countries, most popular locations, and you can also, of course, look at specific countries. If we scroll down, we'll see the different Papayaglobal services around immigration, global benefits, and equity management, which are all available to our customers as well. And here below, we can see global knowledge relating to various things that customers typically find very useful to understand how it impacts them and how it impacts their workforce. So for example, countries with 13th and 14th salaries, countries with significant termination complexity, or even things like non-residential payroll. I'll just jump into one country so you can get a bit of an idea of what it looks like. Here we're at the general section. These are all the various pieces of information that we have access to. And of course, we can click through into employer of record. We can click through into payroll, and we can click through to contractors to just get additional information about each of those different types, as well as just general information at the top. Heading back to the dashboard here, we're actually going to click into one of the countries. So we're going to have a look at Australia here, which I've already opened. But this is the project that I was talking about. So we can see this is Australia and it's for payroll. So if we head into the project for Australia, we can also see all of the different countries listed at the left-hand side here. And we can see the various stages that you as a customer would go through, as we can see we're in payroll, when we're submitting and performing our payroll activities in Australia with Papaya. The first two stages are almost always covered by Papaya's integrations. So reporting would be all of the various reporting information around expenses, around benefit changes, around absence management, which can be pulled through via the integration, whether that's the HCM Cloud Connector or an API. Then we have the salary updates. And this again would be the same thing. Typically, it's always pulled through the integration unless our customer has a specific need to input that information directly within Papaya. And again, I'll actually show you here how we set that integration up. So I've opened up just a quick example of the Bamboo HR API integration. We are here setting up the field mapping from the source system being Bamboo HR into Papaya. We can obviously see in the employee ID within Bamboo HR in our system is currently mapped to the worker ID. And we can also see lots of other different pieces of information that would be pulled across through that API integration. Once we set that up, every single payroll cycle, both reporting and salary updates, will automatically be completed for you. The only activities you would need to be performing at this point would be to view the payroll report, which would be the gross to net, and then to actually review and approve that payroll report as well. So you're aware, there are a number of audits and data validations that take place from the very moment your data comes into Papaya's system, when it goes through to the local payroll system, once payroll has been calculated at the local level and back into Papaya's system. By the time it gets to you, I think 5 different stages of validations have taken place, with probably around 15 different checks performed on the payroll, and you would receive that report detailing the information to assist you in your review and approval. We can just have a very quick look here. In this particular project, we can see that the finance manager, which is someone else, it's not me as the user on this system, we're currently waiting for that person to approve the payroll. Once they have approved it, we can actually move through to the payments section, which is actually just here, payments management. And we can see in the payments management, we have our 3 wallets. We have our Euro account, we have our GBP account, and our USD account. This is where we would be funding our payroll, ready and in preparation for the various payments that need to go out within this pay cycle. So here we can see a list of the different pay periods. We can see the currency that's going to be used. And we can also see the estimated amount based on the salary updates and changes that you would have submitted. All of these different payments here have already actually been processed, but if we want to, we can view each payment in a lot more detail at any point in time. Finally, what we're going to look at is the analytics section of the platform. And just so you're aware, the way that you get to that is the Papaya BI section here. We pop open the analytics and we can see a number of different dashboards and reports available to you as the user. The way that we actually built this system here is we spoke to hundreds of different CFOs, CHROs, chief people officers, and various people at different levels of the organization to understand exactly what information they need in their role and how they want it presented to them. So you'll see there is a number of different dashboards and reports at each different stage that the customer can view. Everything is customizable to the specific user logging in. And of course, there are permission controls to ensure that only the user has access to the relevant information that they've had pre-approved by the administrators of the system. All of the information can be then created into customized views. So for example, if someone is specifically interested in receiving a certain type of report, they can create that view. And every time they log in, they can click to that view as well. And of course, we can download all of the data to Excel or PDF and even integrate it into an external BI system like Power BI or Tableau. In fact, what you're actually looking at here is Tableau embedded within Papaya's system, giving our customers complete control of their own data in that structured format. Now, what I'm going to do is pop over back to the slides just so we can have a bit of a backdrop while I will be answering some of the questions that I believe have come through to Shahar while we've gone through that brief demo.
Thank you, Jeremy. I'm just going to dive right into the questions. So we have a first question here from Jessica. Can your platform integrate with our HRS or TNA software?
Yes, it can, absolutely. So depending on the actual system, feel free to pop it in the message box or follow up with us afterwards. Depending on the actual system, we would either have an API integration. Hopefully, typically outside of HR systems, most of the data can be pulled through via the API, and that's typically everything we need for payroll. If it's not a system we have an API integration with, we can of course use the cloud connector and pull through that information and basically build a bespoke integration. So yes, that's no problem at all.
Perfect, thank you. And there's a quick follow-up from Jessica who's asking, does your platform integrate with our ERP system?
Yes, so again, same thing. Depending on the ERP system, we either have an API integration with pretty much all of the popular systems, or we can use the cloud connector to basically map all of your GL codes from your ERP system to Papaya's accounting codes, and then provide you with the journal entries automatically into your system via either one of those integration types.
Great, thank you. Next question here from Abe. What does the onboarding and implementation process look like?
So if we look at a single country, what you typically find is for a new payroll where you don't have any existing provider or any existing employees, it can typically be set up within 4 to 6 weeks, which is one of the fastest in the industry that we're able to do it. Again, leveraging technology there. For an existing payroll where we're actually transitioning from one provider to Papaya, we have something called a parallel run. So we actually firstly do the data collection, which is where we collect a lot of information like year-to-date payroll data. After collecting that, we will perform a parallel run at the same time as you running payroll with your current provider. And after a successful decision to go live the following month, which would be the 3rd month, we actually go live. If we zoom out a little bit and assume that you have 20 different countries you're transitioning to Papaya, that's not going to happen in 3 months. That's typically a 6 to 12 month implementation cycle, depending how quickly you want to move.
Perfect, thank you. And we have another question here from Regina. Do you have in-house accountants that also calculate the gross to net and salary deductions in our specific legal jurisdiction?
So in every country that Papaya operates payroll, we work with a local team that use the local payroll system. And as to your question from Regina, I believe, yes, they're all certified practicing accountants, so CPA firms.
Perfect. And then I'm just going to take one last question here from Malik. How do employees manage their payslips and HR data?
Great question. So either they're going to be using Papaya Personal, which is one of the slides I showed earlier, and that's where they're going to receive information to either the mobile app or the web browser, where they receive their payslips, tax documents, and other things. Or depending on the integration we have with the customer's HR system, we can actually feed those documents and payslips through to the HR system, just to avoid the workers having to use multiple systems.
Perfect. I think that's all the time we have for questions today. If anyone has any more questions or any follow-up questions, please feel free to email us either directly to Jeremy or at community@papayaglobal.com. Jeremy, thank you so much for your time today as well. And we will be sending you this recording to your email as well. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you so much, Shahar and the Papaya marketing team. Looking forward to receiving lots of additional questions from people, and very happy to put you in touch with some of the team here at Papaya to take you through more about the system and understand, of course, your business.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks so much.